네, 두 번째 키노트는 한국 미쓰비시 전기 오토메이션의 시게야마 하즈메 그룹장께서 디지털 트윈스 앤드 카본 뉴트럴 이펙토리 레이티스트 토픽스라는 주제로 디지털 트윈과 탄소 중립에 대한 인사이트를 공유합니다.
안녕하세요. Hello, my name is Hajime Sugiyama from Mitsubishi Electric. Today, for this Industry 4.0 Digital Insights, I'd like to talk about two very interesting subjects. It's about digital twins and it's about carbon neutral. I hope you enjoy it. First, let's talk about digital twins. Is your digital twin ready to go? It's been quite a while since we've been starting talking about digital twins. This digital twins is a simulation of our Korean e-factory model line. You can see the robots going around integrating with the conveyors. In the past, to kind of do this simulation, it was very, very difficult. You usually had to do most of the installation and adjustment work on the factory floor. And then you would find bottlenecks like this robot arm would not reach the shelf or the takt time is too slow. So we have to add another robot to bring around the parts in order to reduce takt times. But with this kind of simulation, it's very, very easy to detect these problems before they actually occur. So the installation time is significantly lower than the traditional way. So I think this technology is going to help a lot of companies reduce their installation times and adjustment times. Why is everybody starting to use these digital twins? Because it's in this uncertain world, speed is everything. I think you felt that global competition is raising to a very, very high level because it's so easy to manufacture a product in one country and then ship it overseas. And that means that global competition is going to be more severe in the future. In that case, speed is very, very crucial. The ability to design a product, manufacture a product, and ship a product in a short time is crucial because usually the first manufacturer that can sell a product at a large volume wins. And that is why a lot of companies are starting to use digital twins because they feel that this can accelerate their manufacturing and design processes from the design phase to the startup phase to the maintenance phase. There's many, many cool technologies that we didn't have before, like IoT, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and robots. And if we can use these technologies, we can probably be able to speed up all these phases. Look at reduced design time. So by using these kind of ECAD and integrating them to your panel building, you can shorten design time. It's also about the simulation, as I told you. You're not only simulation, you can always collaborate with your ladder programs and your programming to reduce the programming time for your products. Also, it's about reducing maintenance time. By using these kind of data analytics, it's very, very easy to find the problems that you need to fix in the factory. In traditional days, usually when we made a manufacturing line, we'd first do the mechanical design, then we'd hand it over to the electrical design, and then we do the programming for the PLCs and robotics. After that, we take all these machines to the site and then start the startup phase. And then we would do the adjustments so it ran, and after we'd go to the operational maintenance phase. But this is too long in today. By using these kind of digital twins, you're able to do 3 times at the same time. You can do the mechanical design phase, electrical design phase, and control design phase at the same time by sharing the digital information. Also, in the past, you took all the machines and then finally did the verification to see if it ran properly. But using this, it's very, very easy to do the verification up front. By doing that, you shorten significantly the startup time. And by using data analytics and AI, you're able to spot and find problems beforehand. They say in a typical scenario, by using a digital twin, you're going to be able to reduce your startup time by over 40%. So it's really neat these tools, using this digital twins to shorten design phase, startup maintenance phase, and they actually have this technology out and you can use it today. But it's not that easy. I've heard a lot of problems like the one I will introduce to you today. In reality, there was this issue that they had a digital twin of the factory and they were remotely maintaining that site. They saw an alarm saying that, okay, in this plant, there's a machine failure on this production line, so go check it out. They believed the data that they had in the digital twin, so they told their repair team to prepare the correct tools to repair. They went to the site and actually found out that this machine alarm wasn't happening. It was a totally different machine that was believed to be in the digital twin, so they brought the wrong tools and, so they had to go back actually to get the right tools to fix the problem. It was not only the parts that were wrong, the wiring was different and also the program different. So the reality that they were seeing here was totally different in the actual site because there was a lot of modifications made. So the digital twin in this case was pretty useless. It's very, very important to check if the digital twin and the reality is the same because a lot of times it is different, Sometimes they change the digital twin and they change the reality, but don't change the digital twin. In that case, it's a total different scenario that you're looking at. This is going to happen a lot in the future. For instance, if you look at programming, a lot of countries, due to the globalization of manufacturing, are making programs all over the world. They're sharing their programs in the USA, for instance, with India, with China, and they're doing working on the same program. There's also times that they use the program that they made in the Japan plant, and they send it over to Korea because they have the same production line, and they want to share it to make it more efficient. But always, you have to verify that they're using the same program because there's a lot of times they think they're working on the same program, but in reality, they're working on a total different program, and therefore, a lot of mismatches occurs. Of course, this kind of work is only going to grow in the future, and that's why it's also interesting to kind of move these kind of environments to cloud-based programming environments. In that case, you can make sure that you're using the same program and you're matching the digital twin to reality. Of course, you can't do everything. You can't match everything to reality, to the digital twin. So what I think is very important is when you make your first steps to the digital twin is to set your priorities. What do I mean by setting your priorities? The number 3 priorities or the number 4 priorities in the manufacturing line are these data. It's the operational status, it's your production output, it's quality information, and it's knowing when you have an error or the production line is stopped. These are the data you need to prioritize, not making a 3D model of everything in your production line. So first, make sure you're able to monitor these kind of data, and then next step, you can move to more advanced digital twins. Don't mistake your priorities because everything's going to take time, and you have to do first what is most important to you. Unfortunately, of course, the digital twin is difficult, but a more agile and complex future is going to await you. What do I mean? Up to now, I've only been talking about the production site, the manufacturing site. But we are living in a more complex world today. What I mean is to shorten engineering time and startup time. What we're doing is while we're manufacturing, when we start making a product, while we're engineering and designing a product, we're also at the same time designing the machines that will make this product. If we don't do it this way, we're not going to be able to get out a product in a very, very short time. We're also connecting to the supply chain. With the rise of e-commerce, all customers expect when they place an order that it's going to be delivered to them the next day. So that's why your manufacturing site has to be connected to your supply chain when you get an order, and the minute you get an order, you're starting manufacturing that. Unless, or you're going to be later than your competitors and lose out on business. So it's not only about the manufacturing line, it's about connecting with your engineering chain and also with your supply chain. So let's look at a production line. As I said, setting priorities is very, very important. For instance, when you talk about digital twins in a manufacturing line, first one thing that everybody thinks is, oh, I have to make a 3D model of my machine. But let's look at this production line, which is an assembly line. So it starts over here, flows through here, through part insertion, through inspections, through solderings, through retrofits, and to cleaning. And actually, you see a lot of errors or W's or marks here. The processing is 0, where they process the part. Inspection is these diamonds, and storage is 6. But if you look at how a product is produced, most of the time is used in transportation and also in waiting. What does this mean? It means probably the real bottleneck in this assembly line is not the machine itself. It's probably the way and timing that you're moving the part around. So in this case, what's important is not making a digital twin of the machine, it's digitalizing the whole process and figuring out how to make more efficient. And that's why I'm saying it's first very, very important to set your priorities and define where your real bottlenecks and where you have room to improve is. As I said, the world is going to be more competitive, and that's why you have to be very, very fast to deliver to market. When you talk about Industry 4.0, the ultimate goal of Industry 4.0 is to make a customized made-to-order production line. What I mean is when a product is placed an order is placed by a customer to the e-commerce website, it immediately goes to the ERP SCM system. Through the SCM system, they order the parts and necessary to make that product to their suppliers, and then they bring it to their stock. Simultaneously, the ERP and SCM system asks the MES system and scheduler to schedule the production schedule and set up the production line. And it's using its SCADA and also Fleet Manager to move the parts to the production line at the right timing. After it's manufacturing, then these robots will take them to the warehouse and then deliver them to the customer. By doing this, you avoid part stock and everything is made in a very, very time-efficient manner. So this is what Industry 4.0 is all about, making this process possible. But the main point is in order to do this, you have to digitalize your process. Everything, you have to be able to connect all systems together with digital in order to achieve that. And this is what a lot of top manufacturers are trying to do, is digitalizing their processes to make this possible. As I said, digital twin will become a must in the future and your capabilities will be tested by. You've seen there's a lot of geopolitical issues and also COVID-19, because of the sudden stops and disruptions in the supply chain. You have to find a way to move around these roadblocks. It's also about global competition, which you talked about. And it's about automation and in the future, what I'm going to talk about next, about environmental impacts. In order to react quickly and keep the speed, you have to be digital, and that's why the digital twin is becoming very, very more important. Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to move to the next topic, which is carbon neutral in manufacturing. Next, I would like to talk about carbon neutral in manufacturing. I'm going to talk about carbon neutral and its impact, Mitsubishi Electric carbon neutral activities, and carbon neutral and manufacturing. First, carbon neutral and its impact. What is carbon neutral? Carbon neutral is basically balancing things. Factories emit CO2, carbon, and greenhouse gases. it's balancing. So on the other hand, you want to reduce the carbon you use by, for instance, planting trees or using clean energies like solar panels or windmills. You also have the chance to offset it, which means pay money to someone else in order to buy the carbon from you. You hear a lot of words like carbon neutral and carbon net zero, for instance, carbon negative. Carbon neutral is not enough because even by offsetting, it means you're still submitting a lot of greenhouse gases to the environment. That's why a lot of companies have the goal of carbon net zero. Carbon net zero means you're not only going to balance it, you're trying to reduce the total amount of CO2 that you're using. Mitsubishi Electric also has set this goal of reaching carbon virtually net zero by 2050. And a lot of companies have announced and committed to the same goals. I mean, why are we doing this? It's because currently the Earth human beings emit about 50 billion tons of carbon each year. And this is a huge amount. What happens? We need to reduce the amount of carbon we're using, or the future is going to be very, very dark. If we continue the way that we are doing right now, it says the temperature will raise about 5 degrees up to 2100. And this is a very, very critical problem. If you think about the Ice Age, actually the Ice Age was 6 degrees drop in decline over this period. But you heard what happened during the Ice Age. The Earth totally changed. And we're doing the same thing in the upwards direction. If we don't do something now, I don't mean about 10 years or 20 years from now, if we don't do something exactly right now, a lot of bad things will happen. For instance, the sea level will rise. They say even if the temperature only raises 2 degrees, all the coral reefs will be destroyed. I think you've already felt that the climate is changing. We have a lot of heat waves or rainstorms, more than the past. And this is because of the rising temperature. And it's already started, but nature and animal systems will be destroyed if we don't tackle this problem. So that's why everybody is getting very, very serious about reducing carbon. One of the key points is using clean energy. I think, for instance, transportation, you hear a lot of investments in electrical vehicles. It's very, very important for electrical vehicles, because we're using a lot of gasoline to run trucks or cars. But when I say key is clean energy, even if we electrify the vehicles, if they're still using electrical that is made by natural gases or coal, still we're going to continue submitting to the Earth a lot of carbon. And that's why we have to transfer to these kind of clean energies in a very, very short time. It's the same as of industries. Of course, industries used to need more electricity, but if you use more electricity, that means the electricity that you buy should be clean as well. A lot of middle or small-sized companies think, but carbon neutral doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm a small company, so this is only related to large companies. But that's not actually the situation, because in order to reduce the usage of carbon for companies, I think a lot of governments are going to start to put very, very big taxes on carbon. Meaning, if you submit a lot of carbon to the Earth, then you're going to have to pay for it. And if you have to pay a lot of tax, that means you're going to have a profit and loss impact, meaning that it's not a problem for just big companies, it's going to be a problem for small and mid-sized companies as well. This is also very, very important because it's going to be a key to market access. The millennials, the new generations, are very, very conscious about nature and saving the Earth. If they hear that a company is bad to the environment, they will not buy your products. And we've seen this already happen in real life. Also, for instance, if you're in an automotive company, it's not just the car you have to take care of. It's about all the parts that you're using in the car, and you have to prove that your total car is carbon neutral. And that's why if you're selling, for instance, to an automobile company, you have to make sure the parts that you're providing to this company are carbon neutral. And I think a lot of end users are already starting putting pressure on their tier 1 suppliers to comply to these new directives. So what this means, if you're not carbon neutral in the future, then your market effects will disappear and you won't be able to even enter a market. It's a must. Even in large companies, we already see this kind of environmental influence happening. In big companies like ExxonMobil, Shell, and Chevron, during their shareholder meetings, they were told by their investors to speed up their environmental activities, and they're not happy with the way the direction is going, and they told them to rethink it. So I'm sure your companies also have shareholders. They're going to pressure you very, very much to accelerate being carbon neutral. I'd like to talk a little about Mitsubishi Electric carbon neutral activities. We've always been a leader in the environmental sector in being nice to the earth. We've received several A-list awards, for instance, from the CDP and also for science-based targets. I'm very proud to work at Mitsubishi Electric because we had this environmental vision 2021 that was set about 14 years ago. What we did, Environmental Vision 2021, is we committed to reducing the carbon we are using during production by 30%. For instance, reducing our final disposal rate to under 0.1% and reducing the resources we used. After 14 years, we looked and saw if we really achieved these goals. And as a fact, we even reduced it more. We reduced CO2 emissions by 56% less and achieved most of the goals that we set out to do in 2007 and got good results. So that's why I say we're walking the talk. We also have the capability to support these activities in our company and proven that we're able to do it. The only target we were not be able to reach was the employment engagement, but that's because of the COVID. So all the other targets we were able to reach. We have very, very interesting, what do we call, model houses and buildings that we can show to a lot of customers because, a lot of people, what is a carbon neutral building? What is a zero energy building? They don't have an idea how to do that. And then we have these kind of flagship facilities where we introduce these new technologies like energy saving new systems for air conditioning, using data analytics to reduce energy. So you can see in reality that it can be possible. And all these facilities have reached the highest level that you can get today. We also have a lot of technology in recycling because plastic recycling, for instance, is very, very important. Every time you produce plastic, you generate a huge amount of carbon. If you can do recycling and not throw away the process of making again plastic, then this saves the environment a lot. So we have that kind of technology as well to help the earth. And we're also working on these problems, but we say we're also working on these opportunities. Usually Siemens Energy is kind of a competitor to us in the high power industry, but in order to save the earth, we decided to put our brains together and work with them to find some better solutions, develop gas solutions with zero global warming potential in the high voltage power transmission industry. So I think it's time to join forces in the world to save the earth. Finally, I'd like to talk a little about carbon neutral in manufacturing. If you're a factory, actually changing to clean energy isn't very, very easy. I mean, a lot of companies don't have the potential to put all these solar panels in the factory. Maybe they don't have enough land. Maybe they don't have the money to invest in wind power. And in that case, what you have to do is you have to make sure you buy these kind of clean energy outside, which is going to be more expensive. So it's going to cost you, of course. But at the end, if you think about it, I think in the future there will be a lot of initiatives to reduce buying clean energy. But at the end, you always have to use energy. You're going to still be using electricity in your factory floor. So the number one priority you have always is to save energy. You have to use energy, then save it. Reduce the amount used, save energy. And this is something that I think all companies can do starting from today. But it's not just about saving energy. If you think about manufacturing, what goes up and down at the same time? This is a seesaw, but it's true about manufacturing engineering. If you're able to increase the productivity you're doing, you're also going to be able to save more energy. What I mean is you're able to make double the amount of products in the same time. This means you'll be able to save energy. If you reduce the amount of not good products you make and improve your quality, productivity will going up, meaning you don't have to produce as much as you did in the past. You're going to save energy. So that is why it's very, very important to also focus on the basics, improving productivity in order to save energy and realize carbon neutral. We focus on this KPI, Key Performance Indicator, EPU, which is energy by unit produced. It's the amount of energy needed to manufacture a single unit of production. By focusing on this, of course, we're focusing on reducing energy consumption, but we're also focusing on production. If we're able to reduce the production units we're making, we will also be able to reduce the energy. Fortunately, Mitsubishi Electric, as you said, we have a lot of experience and knowledge in this fact, and we have a lot of products that will help you save energy more easier. Just a final summary of what I have discussed today, takeaways. As I said, carbon neutral is a must. If you're a small, middle-sized company, it's also going to be important for you due to these taxation rules that you have and market access. Also, it's very important to commit to 2050 net zero, and also because making the commitment is important. If you make the commitment, then you will plan, and that will lead to action. So I think always a step is making a commitment and then planning. And finally, as I said, using clean energy is not so easy and it's going to cost you, but you can always focus on reducing energy and improving productivity. And in the long term, this is something that's going to help you very, very much in achieving carbon neutral. Okay, I hope you enjoyed my presentation and it was a little helpful for you. Keep safe, and I hope we will see each other in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.